Okay, I don't think you should ever read books. And I say this because I absolutely love books. I guess the biggest problem we have when we read books is we buy a book, we've done some research, we want to get information out of this book. We buy it, we have all this enthusiasm, and then basically we just read it once or twice and it slowly just becomes a dust collector. Like, I've brought so many books in the past where I buy books, I'm really excited, and then that just happens. And I think my biggest problem with traditional reading, when I say traditional reading, it's sitting down with a book and reading it word for word, or even just skim reading. It's, for me personally, my mind just goes fucking everywhere. My mind goes everywhere. I'll start reading 2 lines and then my mind will either just slowly wander to like the 5th, 6th paragraph down, next page, and I'll just like, the focus just isn't there. I think sometimes even processing the words, like when you read something, you literally can't remember what you've just read. It's an issue that I always suffer from. I always thought I wasn't normal, and then obviously figured out a lot of people have that problem. And the main goal of reading is we want to extract information from the book that we get. And I think truly the best way to read books isn't to sit down and read word for word or even skim them. I think the best way to read a book is to have the physical book and have the audio book, and you go through it at the same time. And for me personally, I think it's just got so many benefits. Like, the first one is I just have less friction of opening the book. When you have a book and you're just looking at it and thinking, I've invested in you, and I just don't want to read you. I just don't want to. I just can't be bothered. Because, the more friction it takes to do something, the more likelihood is just it's not happening. If you look at the discipline equation, it's enjoyment plus your why minus the friction. If the friction is high, like, it's a game over. It's done. So if we read with the audiobook and the physical book, there's so much less friction because there's not really that much effort on your side. And because it's less friction, you're going to be more consistent. And because you're more consistent, you're going to be reading more books, which will allow you to have more knowledge, and it will just have more enjoyment. Like, you'll consistently want to read more because you're making progress. And another benefit is you just have an overall immersive experience. You're using more senses. So you're using your hearing, obviously, for listening, your touch, because you're going through you have the physical page in front of you, you have the physical book in front of you, and obviously your sight as well. So you're using all of these different senses to have a better experience, as opposed to just doing reading or just having the audiobook. You're using both of them and just creating a more enjoyable experience. And another thing to add as well is you sometimes get like these extra pieces of dialogue or these little bits of extra information because the author either they go off on a riff or they explain something in more detail, and you just get a little bit of extra bits that you don't get in the physical book. Like, for example, I have been reading The Tools of Titans for probably about 2-3 weeks now, and I'll literally just have my headphones and I'll put it in load up Audible, and I'll just go through it literally word for word, and I'll just sit down and enjoy it. Like, I get so much joy from just sitting down and just listening to the book and going through it because, like I said, the friction is just so much less. I read more books because it's easier to read. Okay, so this is how I read. So I literally download the Kindle and the Audible version, or I sometimes just get the physical book. Obviously go through it, make notes, highlight all the key pieces of information. I extract that information into my Notion, and then I'll basically, from the information I want to be able to create and put into these videos, I will go on Cortex, which is Danco's new kind of writing system, new writing software, and I'll basically write on it, and then I'll make a video speaking about it, whether it's an insight, new information, this, that, and the other. But that's basically the process. It's a pretty simple process, but traditional reading is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, being able to sit down and focus and just get deep in a book that you really enjoy is great, but it's not for me. I personally struggle with it. I have for forever. Alex Hormozi himself, he struggles with it, and if it's good enough for Alex Hormozi, it's good enough for me. I'll take it. Absolutely no problem. But yeah, if you struggle with traditional reading, just try this. Audible book, go through it. I think it's an absolute game changer, and I think the more books you can read, the faster you can read, the more information you can digest, implement the systems, the strategies, the insights into your life, and the better life you have because of it. So that is it for me, short and sweet. Click this video if you want to be more consistent and do things for longer. See you in a bit, peace.